Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Vendor of the Week featuring SBRnet. We have Neil Schwartz here presenting for us. And Neil, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
First of all, Travis, thanks for setting this up. I do enjoy these sessions. I will kind of just throw out a little caveat real quickly that I am playing a little bit hurt today. I've had this cold that I cannot seem to shake. I got it like a week and a half ago at the National Sports Forum in Pittsburgh, and it really is just lingering on. And so if I do cough, or I'll try to, obviously well, there's nobody else in my office, but I'll cover and all that. And if I have to grab a drink, I will do so. But so, just a kind of a little bit of a caveat if I do break into a little bit of a cough. But again, Travis, I do appreciate this. SBRnet is really a very unique service in a number of different ways. And what I'm hoping is that as we go through it today, you'll see how unique it really is. What I'm going to do is try to divide the section into three sections, the meeting into three sections. One, I'll give a little bit of an overview on SBRnet and me. Then what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to use, by the way, a PowerPoint for that. Then I'm going to switch over and use the site, because when I bought SBRnet, as John, who I think has probably been on it more than anybody here, can tell you, it has gone through a major development and has gone through major renovation. And one of the things that has been my foundational principles is that I wanted to make sure that the site had things for, of course, students, faculty, and librarians. I want to make sure that, as hi, Alyssa, I wanted to make sure that all the constituent groups are covered. And that's what I think we've been able to do. So, again, really unique site, great data, great content to support the data, but also now we have a lot of information for faculty where they can use use cases for class. Just as an FYI, I do a lot of classes. I probably average maybe 2 a week, although this week I think I'm not going to. This will be my only in-class thing, I think. But I spend a lot of time in class working with the students. I love the kids. I love working with the students, whether it's freshmen, undergrads, mid-level, high level, or grad students. The one thing I love to talk about is love talking about data, love talking about a data-driven approach, love talking about my data, and then, of course, how to use it. So let me do this. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm guessing everybody can see it okay? Awesome. Thanks, Travis. So SBRnet has actually been around since 1998. I've only owned it since 19. What am I talking about? Since 2020, or actually 2019, right actually as we were getting into the pandemic. Unfortunately, the gentleman that owned it, Dick Lipsy, passed away. But when he did pass away, he did alert his son before to, reach out to Neil. Neil's a guy that knows data, understands data, the value of data, and can really carry this on. And I'd like to believe that I have. I used to be affiliated with a gentleman named Mark Sullivan, who was my partner. Mark did not have kind of the zest for data that I have. He enjoyed a lot of what goes into it, but he really was not a data guy. So I bought Mark out in January of this year. So I'm now the sole owner of SBRnet. Stands for Sports Business Research Network. And, again, we're really proud of what we do. We focus primarily at the start on data, focused on sports fans, focused on sports activity, and focused on equipment sales for sports. And that would be, by the way, equipment, apparel, and footwear. If there's a theme here, it's sports. But again, we are focused on the business of sports. Oops. So, we are a leading provider, sports market analytics data. Again, right now, analytics, you can't throw a rock right now without talking about analytics in any aspect of education or any aspect of business. The ability to be able to use data for students is something that will help them, as they moving into a career and as they're moving into the job world. And we want to be there to help demystify the process of using data. And the fun part is we're talking about sports. There's really nothing more fun. In fact, when I talk to students, I like to say, look, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about sports. If you can't have fun talking about sports, find something else to do. Because frankly, it is so much fun. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about the Taylor Swift effect on the Kansas City Chiefs. And the answer is yes. She has had a major effect on the Kansas City Chiefs. But we're going to talk about that a little bit further down the road. But it's a subject I just can't stop talking about. I don't know why. I'm obsessed with it. The press is obsessed with it. Everybody's obsessed with it. But again, we provide data across a wide variety of areas, audience analytics, esports, social media, sports participation, gambling, travel, audience measurement, equipment sales. So we're really about being a one-stop shop or a one-stop location for all things sports data for students. And students that are in like an entrepreneurial kind of a run, that maybe, whatever it is. Again, it's data for all of these different things. Over 260 schools currently subscribe. I hope I say USC on there. I don't. Currently 260 schools. I'm going to update it, I promise. And the reason why is because, again, the data is just easy to use, easy to get at. And we really, do put a number of really interesting opportunities out there for it to be used. As many of you know, we use IP ranging, so there's no need for any type of username or passwords. Travis, we were all set up, I assume. They can access it from both on campus and off campus, correct?
We use easy proxy, so folks do have to authenticate, but
okay. But you have to authenticate internally. I mean, not with me.
correct.
So it's all set up. Just to give you an idea a little bit about me, I've been around, I've been around sports marketing for over 20 years. I've been around consumer marketing for and consumer market research for almost 30 years. And I can't even hear myself say that and think, oh my God, I've really been involved that long. But again, I've been involved on the research side of the sports business for over 20 years. I've worked with a number of leading financial firms, consultants, brands, retailers, you name it. I've had my hand in it at some point. And because, again, I love sports. I love talking about sports, and I love talking about attendance analytics. I love talking about participation and streaming and sponsorship influence, and you name it. I just love talking about it. But again, our goal is really to provide students with a platform for them to be able to do their in-class independent projects. Look, you can't do data analytics without data. I'm 50% of the equation there. So, we want to be that preeminent, or we want to be the dominant source for data focused on sports business. Now, I do not have data focused on player and team on-field analytics. So if you want to ask me the best, 5 people to put out there at the end of a Lakers game, I couldn't tell you. But we are focused when it comes to sports marketing, when it comes to strategic marketing decisions, when it comes to business opportunities, business development. I guess I said sports marketing twice. I'm going to say it again. Sports marketing, selling tickets. We are really a great source for students and faculty, by the way, to be able to use to help them. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to switch over to the site. So please give me a second. Oops. Now, I'm going to get rid of this to make sure that it's not in the way. Are we seeing the site now, Travis? Oh, man. How about that? 2 for 2 here. So this is our site, SBRnet, and really everything is contained here on the site. And as I mentioned, at the foundation, man, excuse me. At the foundation, we want to make sure that we provide data and content for all of our three constituent groups. And that would be, of course, students, faculty, and librarians. Well, let me point out a couple of things before I get into the data side. Up here, we have something called the Resource Center, the Sports Business Resource Center. We have a list, as an example, a curated list of podcasts that students can take a look at and determine, what am I interested in listening to or watching in some cases. By the way, that's my podcast, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But again, our idea is to be a one-stop location for students, but also to be a one-stop location for faculty. You can use SBRnet in a wide variety of applications. As an example, this is for an asynchronous graduate class focused on sports management. And what I did was, in this case, I recorded the session with the professor. He asked me questions. We went back and forth. He was then able to, we recorded it, downloaded it, and then he was able to have the students watch it and go through the various projects. This was a sports marketing class that I did at High Point University. This was for Professor Jim Scott, strategic management, again at High Point. Here was something I did with Kirk Wakefield at Baylor on sports marketing. So again, if faculty is not sure about how they want to integrate SBRnet and data into their curriculum, we've been very kind of sensitive to that. Use cases. Right here in the Resource Center under SBRnet in the classroom are the use cases. Now, I mentioned earlier about my first job in sports, my podcast. So when we first started this thing and we talked to librarians and faculty and everybody, the one thing that everybody said was, look, at the end of the game here, these kids all want to get jobs in sports, and I get it. So we wanted to put together a content for the students that focuses on helping them get their first job in sports. And what better way to find out how to get a job than find out how others in various disciplines or various areas of the sports business got their first jobs. So right up here, the most recent show is with Caitlin Cummings, who is assistant director of compliance for a Division I athletic program. Because right now, there are just so many things going on in that particular area. So we interviewed Caitlin. She talked about what were her steps. And by the way, her steps were very non-linear in terms of how she got to where she is right now. So again, we provide it in both video form, and a number of professors, by the way, have watched these in class with students, or traditional podcasts. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's on all of the major podcast platforms. So it is able to be accessed that way. Another example, though, is that we've also curated a list of books. And in these books, rather than sending, let's say, to our friends at Amazon, oh God, it's like I do this all the time. We use WorldCat. So we're hooked into WorldCat. And again, we're there as a way to help support the libraries, if a particular book is needed or if a student needs to get a particular book. You know what? Jeff Bezos has enough money. I'd rather get it through, the WorldCat situation. But another example for librarians, for instance, I'm going to go back on my site, back on the homepage, is, make sure I find it actually. So in the Resource Center, we've got something called tutorials. Say a student comes to you, not sure how to use the data. And believe me, the younger they are, the undergrads, a lot of these students, and I'm sorry to use the word kids, a lot of these students really have never really used data before. And a lot of them are really scared. I mean, I did a bunch of younger students a couple of weeks ago. I guess they were like freshmen and sophomores. And, I was trying to explain to them, it's not about Nobody wants you to be a data scientist. I'm not a data scientist. What we want you to do is feel comfortable around data, knowing what is good data versus bad data, and then how to determine how to use it, how to organize it, pick out a good data point, create a visualization, generate some insights, tell a story. That is pretty much my whole mantra when it comes to using data. But one of your fellow librarians who happens to be they're a big user, by the way, he's from Ohio University. They are one of the leading sports management programs in the country. By the way, you guys are up there in the top 10, last I heard. But again, what they've done is he has put together these tutorials that help students understand how to use the data. It's Chad Boninger from Ohio University. So again, look, if you're not sure what to do, you can always refer to tutorials. Look, in worst case scenario, I am your lifeline. Use your lifeline. If a student comes to you with a project, you're not sure, you know what? I'm only an email away. I give everybody the time, needed in order to help them, use the data. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to start talking a little bit more about data. Are there any questions? Is there anything anybody wants to stop me and talk about? Because I could use a drink right about now.
No questions, but one of our business librarians is in attendance, and he mentioned that Chad is famous in the business librarian world.
What's that? Oh,
Yeah.
got it. Chad is famous in the sport. Yes, he is. In fact, in fact, Ohio University just competed in a fairly significant case study competition at the National Sports Forum, and it came down to the top two were Ohio University and the University of Oregon, two programs that are pretty well known in the sports business world, and they duked it out and all that. I will say, and I'm proud of myself, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to sound like a proud dad here, both schools used SBRnet data as part of their presentations. In fact, 10 of the 12 schools that participated are all SBRnet schools. It made me proud. I cannot tell a lie. So, but let's get to some of the data. So here's the interesting thing. Right now, I'm in an interesting time on our site because our data for 2024 is in. I have it. Problem is, hasn't all been updated yet on the site. It's going to be. I'm actually 2 weeks early. Normally, we're not updating data till around the 15th of March. This year, I got it last week and kind of surprised me. But as an example, on the site itself, we have cherry-picked what I'm going to call data points that I think are valuable or important. This is nowhere near all that you have access to. But it is a wonderful place to send a student. Student comes to you and says they're going to do something with the NFL, NHL, Major League Soccer, college basketball, got the tournament coming up. Whatever it is, the best place to send them initially is into the summary area, right to the sport that they might want. And those are all right here. I'm going to make it a little bigger. I just realized it's probably a little small.
Yeah,
Is that a little better?
Yeah,
Was it a little small? My
yeah.
bad. All right, I even made it bigger. I'm bad about that sometimes. I'm sorry. I'll apologize in advance. So again, that's the first place you always want to send a student. Always. Send them to the sport they're doing now. Look, right now, a lot of people are talking about soccer, and for good reason. They're talking about golf for good reason. They're talking about Formula One for good reason. And also, minor league sports. A lot of professors love to work with local minor league teams, minor league hockey teams, minor league baseball teams. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. It's low risk. But again, we have the data to do it. And we are really proud. So an example, let's go back to the NFL data. So we've been collecting data actually since way back in 2012, but the database has gotten so large, and I can only accommodate a certain number of years on the site the way it's designed, that we kind of cut it off after 7 years. So always 7 years worth of data on the site. 2023 is ready and done. It's just not been updated quite yet. By the way, the NFL had an amazing year. It's the Taylor Swift effect. I know I've said it twice already, but what can I say? But again, these numbers, by the way, are all in thousands. So it's not 100 in 2015, it's not 141,000, of course. It's 141 million. Right now, the NFL has 153 million fans. That number now is about 172 million fans. The NFL had a good year. So we give it, we break it down by attendance. We break it down by streaming. I break it down by, traditional viewing, demographics. Always a full spread of demographics. I'm going to go back to the Taylor Swift reference again. Sorry. Can't help it. But football, as you can tell, doesn't do quite as well among younger consumers as, let's say, some of us baby boomers, even the Gen X's, even some of the millennials. Well, again, but what about SBR in the workplace industry? Benjamin, I'll talk about that. So again, there's just a number of applications where this is used and a number of data points that you can use to incorporate into whatever work it is you are doing. And again, if you're not sure where to send a student, send them to me, okay? Call me, send me, or maybe an email might be best, but I will help. Believe me, I am here to help. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into another area in our premium section. Why? Because here is where the actual data lives. Now, I only think you have access to the first level, Travis, if I'm not, you don't have, I think, the premium data as I'm thinking. I forget. But you have access to what we call our fan studies. And again, here's where all of the data lives, already no qualitative. Everything is quantitative. So there really isn't any, if you can't measure it, you can't monitor it. So I'm about quantitative. So that was Kelsey. So no qualitative. Unless you consider demographics qualitative. By the way, I'm going to come back to Benjamin. I'm going to come back to you, I promise. But just give me a minute or two. So this is where all the data lives. And as you can see, it's multiple years already formatted in Excel. And I'm going to pull some of it up right now. At least I hope I am. So I'm actually going to pull brand new data up. It's not even on the site yet. It's literally, I got it last week. So I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to maximize this. I'm going to make it bigger. I promise. Travis, you're my guy. Can everybody see this?
I think zooming in a little more would be better.
Little more. Okay. I got you. How's that? A little more?
A little more still. But that is, we can read it.
We're going for 200% here. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the way the data looks when you download it from the site. This is from our sports fan study. The first tab on every report is always the methodology. I talk to students about this all the time. I said, look, if you're going to make a presentation and somebody asks you in the presentation, where does this data come from? You better be able to answer that question. Because I will tell you, you can't answer that question, you're done, as far as I'm concerned. So I focus with the students on the methodology. I also, by the way, provide a sourcing line for the proper way to source. So again, very important that, again, students be aware of the way to do this. Now, these are giant reports, and I'm going to hold on. I know, Travis. So every one of the 19 sports we measure, the people that have taken the survey literally interact with over 65 separate categories of data. Everything from attended, watched, demographics, social media, streaming. I'm going to keep scrolling here. We also get, for instance, licensed merch habits. What did they buy last year? Did they spend more? Did they spend less? Other things that we get. One of the things we just added this year, and I'm not sure if any of you get into this at all, we added a sustainability question, excuse me, to the survey. A number of people have come to me and said, hey, I'd love to know a little bit of, a lot of teams are really into sustainable habits. A lot of stadiums have gone green, quote unquote. So I said, you know what? I think it's worthwhile. We added sustainability, cross team fandom. Now, Benjamin, here's a great example, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. But yes, it is used. But last year, Pepsi wanted to try to take advantage of the situation going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. But Coca-Cola had an exclusive with the Chiefs and with the stadium. So the agency that handles Pepsi, through a professor that they work with, reached out to me and said, let me ask you, we need the answer to one very important question before Pepsi signs this contract. And that is, how many fans of the Kansas City Royals are also fans of the Kansas City Chiefs? Because they wanted to make sure they were capturing, a good percentage. Using our cross fandom information, they found out that 77% of Royals fans were also Chiefs fans. So what did they do? They went ahead and signed a big deal with the Royals, and they were able to get a large amount of overlap from the Chiefs. But again, they used it, they did the decision based on data. Again, fantasy play, gambling. Look, sports gambling is, sports gambling's, a huge topic right now. There's no question about it. And we have given an awful lot of attention to the topic of sports gambling. If any of you or any of the professors are working, with any of the companies, we've got amazing sports gambling data. In fact, I'm going to make it bigger, I promise. We have actually information down to the individual online platforms. Now, I know there's no online sports gambling in California at the moment. Let me tell you, it's going to be bigger than big. New York was huge. Bunch of Texas. Well, Texas doesn't have it either. But nothing's going to be bigger than when California officially allows online sports gambling. It's just going to be huge. So again, very pointed data, very specific data. I'm going back to the table of contents here. Sports travel. If any of you are working on the sports leisure side of things, this is something that we really have started to grow also. This is going to be our third year covering sports travel. But we just don't ask people if they travel. We literally have subdivided it. I know it's too small, I'm making it bigger. But we have subdivided it into three areas. People who travel to support their favorite team, people that travel to participate in an event, skiing, skateboarding, whatever it might be, or probably like a lot of you travel to support your children, Little League baseball game, travel soccer, whatever it might be. We want to capture all of the aspects of sports tourism. And it is really a big deal. So again, our data is very detailed, very granular, very strategic, very actionable. Now, I'm going to show you something, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it, I promise, because frankly, USC does not have access to this data. Travis, this is something you and I can talk about if, in fact, you think, it should be, you should get it. And believe me, I do think you should get it. So We bring our data all the way down, and I'm going to make sure you can see this. Give me a second here. Ugh. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this one. There we go. We're able to literally bring our data down to the individual team level. So we can literally tell you, how many fans there are of each team. We can literally tell you how many are attending games, how many are watching. I can literally tell you what social media platforms they're using. I can literally tell you what they spent on licensed merch year over year. It's very detailed. Remember I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs? Remember this number, 12,206,000. Remember that number. They've got more fans than the New England Patriots at 8,008,000. They've got more fans than the New York Giants. I know this sounds bizarre. It does. But if one of your professors or Benjamin, for you, if you wanted to do, somebody wanted to do a thing about what effect is Taylor Swift had on the NFL, I got the goods. I got the stories. I got the data. So, it would be, an amazing, by the way, thanks, Travis, for that answer. This is amazing data to work with. Now, I'm going to go backwards for a minute and talk about, I'm going to go back for a second and talk to Benjamin. I'm going to answer your question. So we do have a number of, and by the way, we are beefing this up a little bit, but we do put work done by students back up on the site. And we do put specific examples here I'm going to show you actually, I'm not sure where I put this one. Oh boy. We're developing, by the way, a classroom use case. Oh, here it is. This was actually one of the biggest use cases that we did. So this was actually done about a year ago, almost 2 years ago now. But I work with Brian Hall's research methodology class at NYU. Brian Hall is a super smart guy. Used to work for Two Sigma, the hedge fund. So he present, they did a number of different projects. And one of the young ladies in the class, Chloe Kim, who's from California, by the way, her project was she wanted to justify where to move the Phoenix Coyotes, how to use data in order to pick out where to move them. Failing NFL franchise in Phoenix. So she was able to literally use our data, and we brought in some other data, by the way. I brought some census data in, brought some data from another party in, but it really focused on SBRnet data, showing where is the best place for this team to move. By the way, the answer was Houston, Texas, with the second choice of Indianapolis, Indiana. So again, there's a lot. We're actually building this out a little bit more because there's a lot more of these cases. Benjamin, there's a really interesting case about another gentleman at NYU, David Sutherland, who did something really interesting with the New York Football Club, not the Red Bulls, but the second club. And they were so impressed with what he did in using our data. He went in for an internship and they hired him as an assistant general manager. So, we've got a lot of these kind of anecdotal stories, and I've got a lot of the actual data that goes with it. I need to get it on the site. I need to get it on the site for faculty. I need to get it on the site for students, and I need to get it on the site just in general. But Travis, how much time do I have? I basically kind of run over time already.
No, you're doing fine. We normally want to leave close to 20 minutes for Q&A, but if you have more to share, please do.
That's fine. So again, I just want to say that there's an awful lot here. I did not talk at all about participation data. Again, this is one of the areas right now, not a freaking day goes by where somebody doesn't ask me about pickleball. Seriously. Pickleball, it's like, and again, I have the 2023 data, it's just not there yet. But, pickleball did a double-double. They doubled from 2021 to 22. They doubled again from 2022 2023. Now, was it an exact double? Not quite. It's starting to slide a little bit. But again, they essentially did a double. And that, I don't think in the 20 years I've been in the sports business, I've ever seen anything like that, where a particular sport has come in and captured the hearts of, so many people. I mean, so again, we've got the participation data. I will tell you that I love working with the participation data. Who plays pickleball? Oh, Benjamin, you played 2 days ago. I play 1 day a week on Wednesdays in the afternoon with a bunch of my buddies. I love it. I mean, I cannot tell a lie. I love it. I mean, I'd say aside from golf, it's probably my second favorite sporting thing to do. As you know what, I hate to say it, I'm getting older and it's a little easier on your joints. It's a little, although my friend is a orthopedist, and he tells me that the first biggest source of injuries among sports injuries among baby boomers, pickleball. He said they're mostly soft tissue injuries, twisted ankle, twisted wrist, jammed finger, stuff like that. He said it's unbelievable how many people he sees a day that have some sort of pickleball related injury. So be safe out there, Benjamin. So, are there any questions? I mean, I'd love to go a little deeper into a couple other things, but I don't want to go too much further. Any questions? None?
Not seeing anything in the chat.
I'm not either. I think I've answered them all.
Okay. I do have a question actually, though. In regards to what we might expect for the future of SBRnet, are there any expansions or extra metrics, or you mentioned like player stats and stuff like that? Is that an area that you're pursuing, or just give us an idea of what SBRnet is looking for in the future?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing we're going to be putting up on the site, Travis, in the next year or two are going to be data. Although kind of I forgot the word. I'll pull it out in a minute. Dashboards. We want to get into dashboards. We want to be able to show students a more direct route from data to insights to story. And we feel that dashboards are the way to do it. Am I going to dashboard everything on the site? Probably not. But we will be, in fact, there's going to be probably dashboards introduced for about 4 subjects: sports travel, sports gambling, probably attendance, 1 or 2 others this year. And we'll let you know. And there's no extra charge for that. That's just part of what it is we want to do. The other thing that I actually didn't mention, and I'm sorry, those are my grandchildren, is our search feature. And our search feature is a terrific place to start. Student doing something on sports travel, type in sports travel, and up will come a series, at least I hope they will, up will come a series of articles based on that particular subject or search matter. Our analysts are constantly adding new information, but a lot of old information, but new information. So again, maybe sports travel might have been a little too narrow. Yeah, you see, it gets a little bit more dense. So we have our own search feature. There has been some talk about maybe writing an ASP to use ChatGPT for that. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that we want to get involved in or not. There's a young woman, actually, a grad student, who approached me about doing that as a project that she'd love to do. So I don't know. I have to think about that. But I think the biggest thing, Travis, is going to be data dashboards that we are not going to probably get into player analytics as much as I would like to. There's a lot of people out there doing that. And I just don't feel. I think the other thing that is, I think, going to happen is we're going to develop some new KPIs to measure sports fans. So whether it's for valuation purposes or audience measurement purposes, we're going to come up with some new KPIs. Now, look, coming up with a new KPI, can be, a little bit dangerous. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, Benjamin, by the way. We're in the process of changing over our vendor for all of the sales information. So right now, there's little to no, but it's going to be all brand new with demographics, by the way. So yeah, I'm constantly changing over the data, not looking necessarily to change the trends or anything, but I'm always looking for better data sources. And so yes, you're right, Benjamin. There isn't right now limited data on equipment, and but if you need it specifically for something, just reach out to me. I do have the data that you need, and I'm happy to send it to you. So, again, I do say that if there's something you need, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I can't find that. You know what? Let me send Neil an email, and I'm sure he'll help us out. And I will. I'll respond. And I generally respond within 24 hours. In fact, usually quicker, usually like a couple hours at the most. So any more questions? Travis, again, we're I'm 45 past the hour. If there's any more questions, please feel free to, to email me. If you just want to talk about, some sort of project, if you want to bring me into class, as you can tell, I bring a lot of energy with me. And this is, by the way, this is 100% sincere. There is no put on here. I love what I do. I do what I love. And no, I think I was in one class at USC, Benjamin. So I can't remember the name of the professor I think it was a woman, actually. I can't, you know what? But I should be. And that's one of the things also I've been encouraging, librarians to reach out to the faculty and say, look, we've got this great resource, SBRnet, amazing sports data. And there's a guy who's willing to come into class for free and help you, integrate it into your curriculum, help you work directly with the students. You know what I tell some of the professors sometimes? Invite me into class and then just go get a cup of coffee and your laptop and go sit in the back of the room and answer some emails. I will take over. Trust me. I can command the room. If I need you, I will reach out to you. But, I can pretty much, talk to the students for a good 45 minutes, even longer if I have to. So again, use the data, use me as a resource. We try the same approach with faculty. That's pretty funny. But, whatever they, look, I'm happy. I want to help. I know people say that all the time. I do. I used to say it all the time when I worked for Comcast, I'm here to help. And people laugh. But I am. I love the data. I love that the students are using it. It's sports. It's fun. How much better can it be? So thanks, everybody. Trav, thanks again for setting this up. John, Alyssa, Benjamin, Laura, Kelsey, and Alyssa. Alyssa, I'm going to be reaching back out to you to talk to you about upgrading to the premium data, if that's okay. I didn't get any response back. Yeah. But I'll reach out. That's okay. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate the comments. I do. I live for feedback. My wife would chuckle. So thanks a lot, everyone, and you all have a great day.
All right. Take it easy, Neil.
Bye.